I don't know why you asked. I'm not competent enough to answer this question.
Science sisters, they're here to talk.
They really get it because my work is good. And
Things that you make.
Was I the only one who applied?
How bad were the other people?
Yeah.
With their advances.
Nothing changed.
Oh yeah,
I'm
she's your
still
home.
ignorant.
Because science is fractal.
Science sisters, let's start the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Science Sisters. I'm your host Iris van Zelst and today I'm joined by Philipp Baumeister, PhD student at the German Aerospace Center. In the last season, when I was talking to Tamara King, we were wondering, does this incompetence that we feel all the time, is it just limited to female scientists? Is it just limited to female postdocs? Now we have a certified guy who can tell us about that. So, how competent do you feel?
Right now,
Yes.
sort of.
Okay.
But I definitely, imposter syndrome is a thing also among male scientists. So actually, it's a thing among all scientists.
Yeah, and probably outside of that as well.
I don't know why you asked me. I'm not competent enough to answer this question.
You are. You can. This is about sharing experiences. And you told me you read the Wikipedia page, so now you're
I'm an
very
expert,
knowledgeable. Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, so imposter syndrome basically is the feeling that people have that they in the job they do or whatever they do, they don't feel like they belong, so they are only impostering doing what they do, and all the results they get and all the praise they get is just because they fake doing it, and it's not them, it's just by luck or by sheer incompetence that they just stumble into where they are now.
I mean, it's kind of like you feel like you don't belong and you're going to be found out any minute. Someone will realize, and then you'll have to leave, or like this is not going to happen, obviously.
Or that, basically that you just fake doing what you're doing, and people don't recognize that you are not doing the real thing, but it's just
like you're also just winging it.
But you're just winging it all the time, which I feel. I've talked to many people about that because I was curious if that's a real thing, because I always felt a bit like, especially when starting, like everyone seems to know what they are doing, and I'm just sitting here and don't know what I'm doing. I'm hoping it turns out to be best, but talking to people, I think basically everyone is just winging it, and I think it's just a very common occurrence in academia that everyone feels like they're faking it, but somehow it still turns out to be good.
Agreed. But yeah, some people do come across as very confident and capable, and as if they've got everything sorted, and then
but I also think it's especially because you don't see the struggles of other people. You only see the end results, and they don't see what you are struggling with, and they only see the end results that you give. And on conferences, you're not showing your worst results. You're showing only your best, and so I think it makes a sort of like general feeling of everyone has it all sorted out, and I'm just stumbling along and hoping that it works out. But I think everyone is that, and I think it's especially prevalent in academia just because of the nature of how science works.
It's very competitive.
It's very competitive, and basically you have to doubt yourself all the time. You have to doubt your results. You have to not trust anything you do. Essentially, because when you try to disprove yourself, that's the main theme of science. You have some hypothesis and you try to disprove that in a way, and hopefully find out that you can't disprove it, and when it's true. And I think that fosters a bit of like this thinking that you're not doing it correctly, and you're just trying to find the errors everywhere. Let's say you write a paper, you have to argue why your thing is the best thing, the one thing why it works here. So we have to look at the counter examples and rule out why they don't diminish your results. And so in a sense you always have to work with the opposite side. In a sense you always have to try to find the flaws in your model. And I think this extends to the feeling that you try to find the flaws in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it also might be, for me at least, that if you work so hard on this one project for so long, then it becomes difficult to separate it from yourself. So if that gets critiqued or you find something wrong with that, it just...
And you know every shortcoming.
Yeah.
When you say it, yeah. I mean, same here for me. But I don't know. I feel like especially like, because you interact with other people mainly via reading their results and listening to their talks. It's always the condensed version that you have, that you get. You don't get the entire history of all the struggles behind that and how they try to disprove everything. And it all seems like everything worked out for them and you're just sitting there and struggling and nothing worked. That may foster this feeling of you're just faking it, like you don't know what you're doing. It's just I'm sitting here trying to do my best, and all the other people know what they are doing. They are publishing stuff and mine just didn't work. And I think it is.
I mean, I think if you think you don't belong somewhere and you genuinely feel fear that people will catch you in not knowing, then it can be harmful. Because I was attending LPSC and there was this equality, diversity, inclusion session, and there they mentioned that people from minorities who might not see themselves in science represented, imposter syndrome is like enhanced in them because they can't, like they literally can't see themselves in science. So beyond the scientific part of I have no idea what I'm doing, you also have the feeling of, oh, like the person that I am doesn't have a place in this.
I mean, that's a good point, yeah. Especially if you already feel like an outsider to some community, you probably strengthens this feeling that you don't really belong. Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about that. I'm not that much of a minority, I would say. It can really debilitate you.
Yeah, you'll just feel very insecure and you'll just stop. And I guess maybe that's also a reason of losing people from academia.
And actually, I think probably it goes away as you go on in your career.
Does it?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm just at the beginning.
I think I thought that too when I was a PhD student. And then,
good to know.
And then, it didn't really work out that way. You finally get your title and you're like, oh, I'm a doctor now, this is great. And then you realize nothing changed. Yeah. I'm still ignorant.
Because science is fractal. Like if you become an expert in your topic, then there's a whole infinite array of that topic which you don't know, and if you go then deeper, then there's still an infinite amount.
Exactly, and then also apart from that, usually your postdoc is slightly different from your PhD topic, or you try to add some new skills. So effectively, you're again in the same position. And then also, if you get jobs, great, like already big achievement. But then you also start to second guess yourself about the job. Like, are you really qualified for the job?
Did I really get it because my work is good, or just because I was lucky?
Yeah, was I the only one who applied?
How bad are the other people?
Yeah, exactly. This cannot be happening, and yeah, that's not that good. And it hasn't gone away for me at least. So. Yeah.
But I think what helps is so I've been talking to many people. Basically everyone I meet, I talk. Do you feel like an imposter?
That's like your opening
yes,
set, your checkered line.
Hi, I'm Philip. Are you an imposter?
Yes.
Do you feel like you don't belong?
Are you also insecure and incompetent?
I think it helps. At least for me, it helped because like having these self-doubts makes you feel alone, that everyone knows what you're doing, and it's like you and everyone else has their life planned out, and I'm just stumbling along and hoping that it works out all right. But I think everyone has that, and I think it helps talking to people.
First of all, I think you need to have a nice environment where you can voice these doubts, which, again, in academia, sometimes when it's really competitive, you might not feel like you can say that, which then makes you feel isolated and you get into the spiral. When someone gives you a compliment or they're very genuine, you can kind of second guess like, oh, but that's because they don't know this, or they don't really mean that, or I don't know. It's hard to take a compliment for some reason. Yeah.
I think it is prevalent in academia because that's just the type of people that fit into that. I mean,
which is why we need to have it more diverse.
I'm working in a team. I'm working in a great team, and still I feel inadequate at times, and I feel like I'm just disappointing my supervisor in what I'm doing because I'm taking too long, or
my god, yes.
Or I'm trying a different thing, and maybe he wants it more streamlined, and so it still happens. I don't know, but I would like to know how this feels for like, if you're higher up, if you are a professor or like even at the end of your career, if you still feel like this sense of inadequacy, or if it goes away,
Well,
or if it increases over time.
I can tell you that the professor that I had in Leeds, again, I saw a tweet of his once, and there was a time that there was this imposter syndrome survey or something you could fill in, and then it would say how much percentage imposter you were or felt.
110.
Yeah, exactly. And he did it, and he was like 70% or so, and he just tweeted it like, it never goes away. And he was this full professor, tenured with his own group, and super established, and you're like, well, it never goes away.
I have I do the entire rock physics, like I have the interior modeling heavy rocks. I have no idea about rocks. Like I've never done anything like this. I just hope that like I can teach myself roughly how it works. But what the thing is, what can you do? You either you bring someone in who is more knowledgeable about it, or you try it yourself, or I mean, it's you. I think even acknowledging that you don't know it is a big step. But I have the same thing when I'm doing these machine learning projects, but I have no idea about machine learning. Now, of course, I have, but as I started it, it's more like a fun side project, which then developed into something way too big. But so I've been working with other machine learning people, and the stuff I do is, of course, like 10 floors below what they do. Like I have my simple model, which I just try to get to work, and it's nothing. It's like tech from 20 years ago. It's nothing fancy, and I have these super fancy. And of course, I always feel like I'm in this machine learning data science PhD school, and I always feel like, why am I here? why am I in this school? Like the stuff I'm doing is so basic for at least I feel like it for machine learning things that you can find tutorials online on how to do that. But of course the problems, like the issues I have to solve is something which then is interesting. It's a basic model, and it feels like compared to what the others do, but for the problem I have, it's the right thing to do probably. And so it always feels like I'm just trudging along and not doing like these fancy things which they are doing, but I in the end I don't have to. I always feel like oh, I missed something. I must have missed something. There must be an error somewhere.
So imposter syndrome, not great.
But everyone has it.
But everyone has it, and hang in there.
Yeah. It will get better, hopefully, maybe.
Or you will learn to deal with it better. Yes. Maybe it just keeps being bad, but you'll learn to deal with it. And if you want any resources, you can look in the description. If you want to like and subscribe, then great, do that. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I don't know where I wanted to go with that sentence. Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to say, which I have forgotten, is
basically I'm frustrated the entire time of your career. But everything is great. Everything is true. Everything is great.